Hello and welcome to this week's AQC Gist Desk with me, Atadana Somadam, where we get to highlight the important sectoral developments on the continent and around the globe. This is a special edition where we get to analyze whether there is actually an ongoing continental quantum strategy at play or you listen on. Now let's get to it. Africa is the fastest growing region on the planet. 11 of the world's 15 fastest growing economies are African. Mauritius and Morocco are above 70% on SDG implementation. The continent is moving. 2 weeks ago, Ghana moved again. On the 24th of April, President Mahama launched Ghana's National Artificial Intelligence Strategy in Accra. $270 million 10-year roadmap. Healthcare, education, agriculture, public services. Ghana joins at least 8 African countries with active AI strategies. Several more are drafting. The continent is writing itself into the AI conversation. Now look at what is not writing itself into. The United States declared quantum science a national security matter in 2018. 18 OECD members plus EU have funded national quantum strategies. China has reportedly invested close to $15 billion on the table. The figure is widely cited, though not independently verified, but there is no serious reason to doubt the order of magnitude. South Africa, and only South Africa, has Sakuti Phase 2. 53 other African countries, 0 national quantum strategies. The continent does have one quantum strategic framework, ASFAB. The African Strategy for Fundamental and Applied Physics exists, is coherent and names quantum explicitly. The floor has been set. What the continent is still waiting for is takers. Hold that gap. Now read what happened at the podium recently. King Charles addressed a joint session of the United States Congress in April 28, only the second British monarch ever to do so. He named quantum computing directly.
Our nations are combining talent and resources in the technologies of tomorrow. Our new partnerships in nuclear fusion and quantum computing and in AI and drug discovery, holding the promise of saving countless lives.
The King of England said quantum from the floor of Congress. Now on foreign policy. Read Marco Rubio at Munich Security Conference.
Commercial space travel and cutting-edge artificial intelligence, industrial automation and flex manufacturing, creating a Western supply chain for critical minerals not vulnerable to extortion from other powers, and a unified effort to compete for market share in the economies of the global South.
Critical minerals, global South, said from the podium, no ambiguity, no diplomatic fog. Open the US National Strategic Overview for Quantum Information Science. It lists what quantum needs to scale: classical hardware components, materials characterization and fabrication facilities, critical minerals and materials. Then open America First in Africa. Our goal is to ensure that critical minerals from Africa begin flowing west to the United States. Initiatives such as the Lobito Corridor exemplify this model. Connect documents yourself. Africa's minerals are written into Washington's quantum strategy. Africa's minerals are written into Washington's Africa policy. The one place they are not written is Africa's own quantum strategy. Because Africa, with one exception, has not written one. Asked about Africa at a recent investment forum, President Trump put it plainly.
I have a lot of very smart friends that they're putting everything into Africa. There's a big advantage. But Africa has tremendous value in its land, and if they can unify and get together, I think it's got tremendous potential.
Read that twice. The most transactional president in recent American history is telling his billionaire network to move on Africa. He's not doing it out of sentiment. The smart money is already reading the same mineral maps that Washington's quantum strategists are reading. The question is whether African governments are reading them too, or whether they will look up in 4 years and find the terms already set. And this is where it gets interesting. 13 African countries have restricted raw mineral exports since 2023. Zimbabwe, Namibia, Ghana, DRC, Burkina Faso, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, lithium, cobalt, manganese, graphite, rare earths. The continent is already acting on mineral sovereignty. It has simply not thought to call it a quantum policy. Here is the move that most African policymakers are not making and should be. Every mineral deal currently being negotiated, every bilateral, every corridor agreement, every concession is a document that can include quantum terms. Lock-in technology transfer clauses, mandate joint research provisions, require quantum readiness investment as a condition of extraction rights. It is contractually possible. It is just not being done. That is not a resource problem, it is a vision problem. Last week in Nairobi at the Africa We Build Summit 2026, the unified call, stop exporting unprocessed oil, gold and iron ore, and instead refine and manufacture at home.
Africans can do it. Let us not be scared. Let them not come and convince us that no, somebody needs to carry our raw material to go and produce and bring the items here. I must really thank President of Uganda for taking this bold move. Stopping the export, they will be forced, they will come and produce. Why do you want to take the raw material, then you bring it back?
For instance, the uranium, we have got a lot of uranium. A Canadian company came and said, I want to take the uranium. So where are you taking it? To abroad. What are you going to do with the uranium abroad? To generate electricity. But I have had a rumor that there are some human beings here. It's not confirmed, but I have had a rumor that there are some human beings here who need electricity. Why don't you start with those? The man disappeared. They never came back.
I'm cognizant of time. We don't have enough time. President Ruto, yes.
I'm happy that my Minister for Minerals is here, Hassan Joho. You know, I hope you have heard the
I see more plans.
We are not exporting anything raw going forward. And
Dangote committed to building a refinery in East Africa comparable to his Lagos facility, conditional on political backing from both governments.
But my commitment today here is that if we agree with the 3-4 governments here about the refinery, we will lead and we'll make sure that that refinery is built within the next 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
The logic of value capture. Stop exporting the raw input, process it locally, capture the premium, is exactly the logic that should be applied to quantum. The difference is that iron ore and oil are visible. You can point to a barrel. Quantum's claim on African minerals is written in strategy documents in Washington, Beijing, and Brussels. It requires someone on this continent to read those documents and respond accordingly. We love the direction. We took too long idling and the world did not wait. One thing Africans consistently underestimate is the compounding cost of delayed self-definition. Every year without a quantum strategy is a year in which someone else's quantum strategy, already written, already funded, already naming African minerals specifically, fills the vacuum. The continent is not absent from the global quantum story. It is present as a supplier. The question is whether it intends to remain only that. A national quantum strategy does not require you to manufacture quantum hardware first. That is the wrong starting line. And whoever sold that logic to African policymakers did the continent a favor for someone else. A quantum strategy begins with what the continent already holds. The minerals every quantum machine on Earth depends on, the talent pipeline, the regional coordination infrastructure, the universities, and hardware follows. Mineral sovereignty leads. ASFAP is the framework, Sakuti is the proof of concept. The continent has a starting line. What it needs now is decision makers willing to cross it. South Africa wrote the first national quantum strategy on this continent. Ghana, Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, Rwanda, Senegal. The floor has been set. Africa is already inside everyone else's quantum strategy. The question is how much longer it stays outside its own. And on that note, we draw the curtains on this week's AQC Gist Desk. The conversation continues at the Global Quantum Happy Hour every Friday at 8 p.m. GMT. And on that note, I sign out.